music fans out there, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Coda Country Chats. And today I have a lovely young miss with me. Her name is Emmy Moyen. How are you today, Emmy?
Doing?
I'm doing so well. And I really am so thankful that you contacted me about coming on the show, because it seems like you have so many things going on for you and it's all just kind of like happening all at once. So I can't wait to hear more about everything that you have going on. One of the first of those being the single release that you have coming up on June 28th, the song called Prayer Request. Tell me a little bit about what that song means to you.
Yes, so I am from a small town in Mississippi. I was born in Kentucky and we moved to Mississippi, so I'm just all around Southern.
Yeah.
And I guess I just grew up with that deep South kind of feel of in a small town, everybody knows everything about everyone. And so I started kind of thinking about home when I was in Nashville writing, and I was like, oh, I want to write about where I'm from. And we started talking just about how word gets around in small towns. And I had this idea. I was like, oh my gosh, this happens a lot. So I went to a practice room real quick on campus and I was like, oh, I want to write this idea of prayer requests. And it just kind of fell out. I had all these just I love telling stories. So I had all these characters in place and I was like, oh, I think I can tie this together into something that hopefully a lot of people can resonate with, being from small towns or just growing up in similar ways.
For sure. So when you say you went to a practice room on campus, which campus are you in right now?
I go to Belmont University.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Love Nashville. I was like, I want to do country music. I've got to figure out how to get to Nashville. So Belmont got on my radar because of their songwriting and music business program. So I'm able to do that, but then also have, my foot in the door in Nashville. So it's been awesome.
That's right. I was just going to say, like, it's a perfect crossover opportunity for you, just because, you're there with everybody who also wants to do country music, who also wants to be great songwriters. And speaking of that, you talked about rushing to a practice room. Did you write this all by yourself, prayer requests?
This was a solo write. And one thing I love about Nashville is there is so much co-writing going on, and every day you're writing with people. And I love that part of Nashville, but I also think that the reason why most people fall in love with songwriting is the songs that they wrote, in the room by themselves whenever they just started trying out songwriting and forming melodies and forming lyrics. And so I always want to keep that part of like writing by myself kind of sacred in a way. I try to do about half and half, because I think that while writing with other people is great and you can create great art and you can better yourself, writing by yourself sometimes allows you to be a little bit more vulnerable and just in touch with your emotions there. So
yeah. And I understand exactly where you're coming from, because in other interviews that I've had, I've heard people being like, well, you kind of have to just go into a co-write and like wear your heart on your sleeves and just like be very vulnerable with sometimes these strangers that you don't even know. So I totally get where you're coming from. Yeah. So, okay. And you touched a little bit on this whenever we started talking about the song. You bounced around a lot whenever you were growing up, from Mississippi to Kentucky, back to Tennessee. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and how you got started in music in general.
Yes. So, yes, my parents are originally from Kentucky, so I was born there, and we moved to East Tennessee when I was really, really young, and then down to Mississippi. Now I'm back in Tennessee. So basically, growing up, I was surrounded by small towns, and I loved that. I got to see, I feel like the places I've lived have really influenced my sound. Being from Kentucky, we still have a lot of family there, so we go there a lot. But huge bluegrass background, and I've got that kind of love for bluegrass in me. And then obviously going down to Mississippi, you get a little bit of blues and just some roots music, which is really, really cool. My mom's side of the family has always been super musical. And then my dad's has always loved music. So I just remember always being around it. And there was never a time where I didn't want to do music. It was just, it seemed so right. It was what I was most passionate about. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I remember in high school when, it was the conversation of, okay, what are we doing? Like, what's the plan? I told my dad, it was like, music isn't what I want to do. It's like who I am in a way. And so I have to chase this dream. And it's been really fun to have the support from my family and just have that background and see how it influences my writing and my style in Nashville.
Yes. Well, and kudos to your family and your parents for kind of jumping on board with you and joining along in this ride with you. And, seeing it through, because I know a lot of families are not necessarily as supportive as yours sounds like. So that's really awesome that they're going
Thank
along
you.
with you there.
Yes, I'm thankful
Yeah.
for it. It helps out a lot.
Yeah, and so you moved to Nashville in 2022. Tell
Mhm.
me, how has like being a student and also being like a musician, co-writer, songwriter, that kind of thing, how is that balance working for you there?
Yes, so I think that because I go to Belmont and all my classes are basically music classes, I'm able to balance it well because I feel like everything I'm doing is working towards the same goal, whether it has,
Yeah.
whether it be in Nashville or in a songwriting class on Music Row or whatever it might be. Belmont has some really great opportunities here to further your career in the industry. So they have these showcases that go on all year. I was able to participate in, and I'm
Yay.
interning as the songwriting intern at Warner Chapel through a Belmont
Wow.
internship. So stuff like that allows me to, put a foot on campus and a foot in Nashville. It's just I'm very thankful for that partnership and that Belmont wants to see you succeed, not just on campus, but in the Music City community.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to touch on that too. Being like kind of wrapped up in the industry, I'm sure that you've made some pretty awesome connections as far as those people who can, help you find other people to work with, or find, future potential songwriter friends that you can work with. I think that's pretty incredible as far as getting your career off to the start that it needs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes. I think that, in most rooms, I am the youngest person there. And so I've just been so thankful to have some people take me under their belt as like their little sister and help me out and
Yeah.
make these connections and kind of be a mentor for me here.
I I love that. No, I love to hear that, because I'm sure if, someone's out there listening, and I have a few people who tune into the show just to kind of like hear from up and coming artists who are just like just starting out, or who have been seasoned and been doing this for a long time. It's sometimes daunting, especially like if you're from a small town, like you talked about, to like move and go far, far away to a big city like Nashville.
It can be.
Sometimes you're like, what's going to happen? Like I've
Right.
only lived in these small towns my entire life. Like, how's this going to work? Am I going
Yes,
to make any friends?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be a little bit scary, but I think also the passion is going to be what drives you to these things. So even if you're walking in a little bit nervous, it's like you're so excited to because this is what you love and this is what you want to be doing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, okay, talking about what you want to be doing, I saw that you had a recent show with Alexandra Kay out in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Tell me about that experience. Tell me about how you maintained to grab that like opening slot with her. I'd love to hear more about that.
So it was actually in Starkville. It was at Rick's
Starkville.
Cafe.
Thank you.
No worries about Mississippi's. All the towns are.
Yeah.
Um, so it was in Rick's, and I actually know Rick personally because I'd previously opened for Colin Stow there and done some opening stuff. And
Very cool.
so I knew Alexandra Kate was coming, but I have some friends up here who were working to promote her events, and they had Alexandra Kay's team had talked about how they wanted some female acoustic opening acts. So since Starkville was it was more of a hometown show for me, I was
Yeah.
like, this would be perfect. So they were able to make it happen, and I'm very thankful for that because I'm love live shows. It brings me so much joy and
Yeah.
passion. And so to be able to do that while also meeting Alexandra Kay and seeing how she runs her business. It's so professional. She's so good at what she does. And just
Yeah.
able to observe, oh, this is what I love. This is, what I want to strive for is really special.
That's amazing to hear that too. And especially since, like you were just saying with a hometown show, it's kind of like you get to come back, and people who know you get to enjoy, wow, Emmy's like doing so great on stage and she's opening up for Alexandra Kay. Like that's a big deal. How awesome.
Thank you so much.
So yeah. And okay, I will say too, we talked a little bit before the episode started about several things that you have going on, new music and that kind of things for the future. Tell me, let's start with like live shows that you have coming up. What else is on your docket for the next few months?
So right now in Nashville, we've got a lot of rounds going on. So the listening room is in August. I've got a couple
Cool.
of rounds going on this week. I'm back and forth a lot this summer between Nashville and home. The DYW program in Mississippi, Distinguished Young Women, I was a part of a couple years ago. And so that program is very close to my heart. So I'm singing there for the state competition. And then we've got some other things in the works that aren't quite finalized yet, but hopefully I'll be able to announce soon in terms of promoting the music and getting on some fun opening acts for that. So we're excited about what's to come for sure.
Very cool. Can you tell me, okay, before I get into like new music and stuff like that, do you have like a favorite writers round or anything like that you like to go to, that you like to play in Nashville? Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think I would have to say the listening room, just because there's such a supportive songwriters there. And I'm thankful for all the writers rounds I get to play, but sometimes, if you're in these smaller places and it feels like, I don't really know if anybody's hearing any of the words that I'm saying, it's fun to go to a place that people listen and they know that they're supposed to be silent during the show because they want to hear what you're saying as a songwriter. And so that's really, really special. And you just feel very honored to be in that position. I also love Raised Rowdy. I've been a part of some of their rounds and they're just been really supportive and
cool.
So I just love the writer community here. It just is so supportive, and Nashville has such a respect for writers, which is just special.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more. Like I said, listeners, if you're still listening, I'm sure you are. We were talking about prayer requests that comes out on June 28th. What other? I know spoilers are like one of those things that we want to tell, but we can't. Do you have any other new music that you have coming out in the near future that you'd like to talk about or that you'd like to share?
Yes, so I do have new music coming out this year. I've never released music before. I've spent the past couple of years just really trying to build social media and network in Nashville and that sort of thing. So we were like, when we get this train rolling, we really want to get it rolling. So we have even a couple more songs ready right now. That we're excited to release later this year. It will all be, late summer or fall. And we're excited about that because I want to be able to follow up with, here's prayer requests, but then here's another side of my artistry, and here's another side of my artistry, and just be able to be as vulnerable and open as possible about who I am as an artist and what I want my sound to be.
Yeah. If you were to relate your sound to like other artists, or I don't know, if you have like certain influences that kind of have helped you mold yourself into who you are now, who would you say those are?
Absolutely. I think probably the number one influence for me is Miranda Lambert. I love just the bravery she has in lyrics, and I love kind of this rock and roll alternative edge that she has to her country music that I think is just really badass and cool. And I love Eric Church. I love that he kind of does things that are left of center. Natalie Hemby is one of my favorite songwriters. I love her style. I love she can put humor into songs without it sounding cliche, but she can also talk about very serious topics, and it just makes you feel all the emotions. Like I said, I love bluegrass music, so like Patty Loveless's bluegrass stuff, Ricky Skaggs, I love them. My dad's favorite band was U2 growing up, so I love U2. I love like Coldplay. I'm all over the board with music. I know that I'm a country artist, but that doesn't mean I just have to listen to country music. And I think that drawing all these styles from rock music and pop music and alternative music kind of create this cool sound in country that is really, the genre is booming right now, and the genre boundaries are they're down. So it's wide open.
That's so true. And I think about all of the like huge like pop artists who are coming over and like trying to get in the game right now, and it's just, I don't know, I feel like there's a new pop artist trying to pop in and become a country artist like every week, it feels like. So but I mean, I guess that's the beauty of country music, is that, and you talked about this earlier with the joy of songwriting and the joy of storytelling. That's kind of one of the elements that country music has. It's very authentic to the genre, and it doesn't matter, which walk of life you come from. If you're walking in with boots on or not, country music is one of those things where you can just share your side of the story, and people will listen.
Absolutely. And I love that
Yeah.
music. And I'm in support of anybody, even crossing over a country a little bit. I think that, a win for country music is a win for all of us. And so I think that more people coming to the genre is a great thing. I think that it gives us more opportunities within the genre to do cool things and do um, create unique sounds. So.
Yeah, for sure. You talked a little bit about this too, building up your social media and kind of getting that work done before releasing a lot of music. And you have built like some pretty awesome follower counts, I will say. Tell me, before we hop off, can you shout out your social media handles so all of the listeners can find you?
Yes, absolutely. All of my social media handles are at Emmy Moyen Music. So easy to find me. Moyen is Moyen, and you can follow along there for updates on live music and shows and much more.
Yeah, perfect. I will say this is just a little like personal anecdote. I love the way that your name is spelled because you have the Y and then you also have your Y in your last name. I don't know why that's like a thing for me,
I
but
like
it's just so cutesy.
I know the last name is like, I don't know. Some people are like, is it Moen or Moyen? And I'm like, I know, but at least it looks pretty on paper.
That's right. It's so cutie. Oh my gosh. Well, Emmy, I've really enjoyed talking with you today. And I hope the listeners take a little bit of, how joyful you are and how infectious your personality is and just run with it and go stream Prayer Requests as soon as it comes out on Friday, June the 28th. Thank you so much for being an awesome, awesome podcast guest today. And I will, before we hop off too, is there anyone else or anything else that you'd like to give a shout out to or anything else that you'd like to promote?
Yeah. I would just love to give a shout out to the people listening here. I think that, if you stream a song or if you like a video or follow a platform or listen to an interview, you are playing a part in a story of mine that is very special to me and is built on fans. And so I really appreciate that. I also wanted to say, if you do want to sign up for an email list, my website is emmymoyen.com, and you can sign up for an email list there. And that's very helpful because I get to send updates through email as well and not just post on social media.
Yeah, I love the subscribers list. That's awesome. Okay, perfect. Emmy, thank you again so much for coming on today. And listeners out there, make sure you stream Prayer Requests after June 28th. This is Leigh with Coda Country Chats, and y'all have a good day.
Thank you so much. Great talking with you.
Great talking with you.